We are here for another edition of American Soccer Break. We have Roy, we have Rahi, we have me, and we are ready for another week. So let's get right into it, boys. I'm not even gonna ask you how your week is doing because let's get straight to it. Yeah, who cares? This is what matters.
Crap.
Okay, we talked last week about Matt Crocker. He's the new U.S. sporting director. Now let's get to what matters. U.S. men's national team coach. If I had to put the front runner, Jesse Marsch, we've heard he's the front runner, versus the old guy or the guy who was in charge of the troops before, who you guys got?
The reigning champion versus the newcomer?
Man.
I mean, some people would take issue with me calling Gregg Berhalter the reigning champion. But to be honest, I had this internal conversation with myself roughly, 4 or 5 years ago when they were hiring the new coach. And at the time, I was big on Jesse Marsch. I was excited. He was a Rebel in New York, and then he was an assistant at RB Leipzig. I was really excited. I would have chosen Jesse Marsch all day. Fast forward now, I'm in the Gregg Berhalter camp. I think he's proven more managing the team, and Jesse Marsch has struggled, man. He's not been good at Leeds. He was terrible at Leipzig. Nothing against him, but it hasn't worked out, man.
Good point.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I don't love it. I don't love everything that you just said from your face. This is what I think right now. When we hired Gregg Berhalter, we looked at his resume, and he had a very bad resume. He failed in Europe. What was it with Hammarby? He got fired because his team couldn't figure out how to attack. He was an okay coach in MLS, never really made it too far in the playoffs with Columbus. Sure, he did well enough for the national team. He took us to another level, but it was messy throughout the whole time. And now that Joe Scally has come out with his comments about Berhalter and about his system, and I understand Joe Scally, it could be a situation where he just sucked with the national team and he's trying to point a finger somewhere else. But it is true that he treated this team like a club team. He kept trying to force this system that took so long to implement. So right now, today, it's easy to go forward with Berhalter again because they know the system better now and things like that. But the system had its limits. It had a ceiling. Today, if I were to pick, I would go with Jesse Marsch. If those were the only two options, only because I want to see something simpler. I want to see something where we could quickly integrate players and not have players like Scally and others struggle to fit in. And I want something new, man.
I'm glad you brought up that comment from Joe Scally. If you don't know what he said basically the system was too complex under Gregg Berhalter. He was thinking too much and he wasn't playing. When you go play for the national team, you just need to play with passion and drive and energy. Nothing against Joe Scally. He's going to be a good player. He's a good player. But that is exactly the opposite of what we needed with the national team. If the new manager says, don't worry about tactics, guys, just go out there, play with heart, play with passion, that's all you need. That's what we've had with the U.S. team for a long time. That's not elevation. That's not the next level. In fact, we need somebody to tell Joe Scally, sorry, you have to elevate your game tactically as well as in terms of passion and athleticism. Yeah. We need to be more than that.
So that brings me to my next point. Should the new coach even be American? Roy, what do you think?
Sure. So I disagree with Rocky's comment that a complex system means elevating your game. I don't think it means elevating your game. I think it means a coach is trying to force a system that takes months to learn to a team that is only together for a couple days, a couple weeks here and there. I think that's bad. I don't think that's about elevating the game. That's unnecessary complexity. So back to this question. Should the next coach be American? I lean yes, but the reason I lean yes is because I appreciate when a coach is familiar with the domestic league. I appreciate when the coach is familiar with the American player. I think there is a benefit to having that. So if I were to pick, I'm not going to tell you my pick yet, but if I were to pick a profile of coach, it would be a coach who is familiar with the American player, familiar with Major League Soccer, and not necessarily American. There are a ton of international coaches who have those two traits, and they're not American. I'll leave it at that.
I mean, that's fair, but I want to go back to in the World Cup, we lost to the Netherlands. And in that game, if you watched that game, what did you think? We got out-coached, outclassed in terms of tactics. Our players looked like they weren't up to it in the biggest moments because the Dutch just said, hey, you can play with the ball. Don't worry. We're going to invite you in and then take advantage of you. They were well drilled. They were ready to go. They knew what to do against us. It was a tactical advantage that they had. And that's why I think the new coach shouldn't be American, because I don't know that we have somebody who's proven at the highest level they have the tactical acumen to beat a team like the Netherlands. I mean, Jesse Marsch, and we talked, I said Gregg Berhalter. They're not going to hire Gregg Berhalter again. Probably.
As they shouldn't. As they
and
should.
Jesse Marsch is the guy with the best resume. And if he's the guy with the best resume in the U.S., I don't think the coach should be American. Because
I'll agree. I agree with you on this point. I personally don't think that we necessarily have in the pool right now. I mean, Roy, do you think you've been in coaching in this country? You've been through the coaching system in this country. You are a diehard MLS fan. If you were honest to yourself, do you think they're at the same caliber as the European coaches or the European system?
I don't think so, but was Morocco asking that question about their coach? Were they asking, hey, is a coach who only coached in Morocco as elite as the ones coaching in Europe? The answer is no. Same with Scaloni. Scaloni was not a top coach. He was not even on the list of top 50, 100, 150 coaches in the world. Look what he did. Look what the Moroccan coach did. Look what the Japanese coach did. Look what... It goes on and on and on. And in every one of these cases, it's a coach from that country. Something about it just works. And that's why I'm in favor of hiring either an American or someone who knows the American system fairly well. I'm not an Alexi Lalas that thinks it needs to be part of this brotherhood and needs to be part of this whole system. No, not necessarily. But knowledge and familiarity with the players and the culture, I think that's important.
The one thing I will say, all those teams you mentioned, let's be honest about the fact that they all have players performing better for their clubs than anybody that we have.
Sure.
That's obviously Argentina, Japan as well, and yes, Morocco as well. Our players need to elevate their games. Like, we're talking about guys with serious potential, but they haven't realized that potential in the way that Hakim Ziyech has, or Amrabat has, or Mitoma has, or anybody on Argentina has, right? So I don't think it's the same stage of our team. We have more potential than those teams, which is why I think the coach is really pivotal. It's not so much managing the players and getting the most out of them. It's actually elevating the game of the players.
On that note, before I ask you guys, who you actually want to pick, there's been some, coaches that are not releasing their players, and these are American clubs. I mean, this is something we definitely don't want to get into. I think, the comment was by Jim Curtin, and he said, we are not Spain, we are not Argentina, we're not Germany, was a specific quote.
Yeah, and look, that's a guy who's Jim Curtin's an interesting candidate. He doesn't have the resume yet to be the coach, but he's an interesting candidate. And he said something that I think we were all thinking, which is, come on. Basically, the story is these kids were wanting to play in the U20 World Cup. They weren't released by Chicago. Because it was more important that the club gains points. Aren't they last in MLS, Roy? Like, I mean, who cares?
Close.
Let them go play the U20 World Cup. Let them win something for our country,
Question for you, Rocky. You keep mentioning resume. What's more important to you on a resume? Is it success or is it caliber of club? Because you keep mentioning that Jesse Marsch has the best resume. Why is that? He failed at Red Bull Leipzig. He failed with Leeds. Is that better than having a coach like Cherundolo, who may have less years? He doesn't have the international experience, but he's absolutely turned around LAFC. LAFC was a downward spiral under Bob Bradley. He turned it around, made them champions, got them to the CONCACAF Champions League final. They're killing it. They're playing well every single week. What's more important? Is it Leeds on your resume, but you failed? Look at the tech industry, man. Do you rather have a candidate who worked at Microsoft but sucked and got fired? Or do you rather have a guy that worked at a startup and killed it? I mean,
I'd rather have experience. That's the way I see it. The tech industry is a bad example because look at what's happening.
I don't know.
CEOs. No, my point is, I'd rather have someone with experience because take LAFC. Cherundolo has a team that's the most talented team in the league. Now, don't get me wrong. They have won a title. They may win the Champions League as well, which would be great. But they're the most talented team easily in MLS. Yeah, they're doing well. But can he do it in the Premier League? Look, Jesse Marsch took a Leeds team that wasn't very good, and he saved them from relegation. Yes, he failed this year, no doubt. He's been at Salzburg. I'm talking about having diversity of experience where you learn things. Gregg Berhalter has learned a lot from this job, being in the job now, and he would be a better coach in the next cycle. I think you cannot substitute for experience and diversity of experience. So absolutely not. No, I would not take a coach who has coached one club in MLS to, some success, having the best players, over somebody who's been in different leagues, varying degrees of success. I mean, look, everyone fails, right?
Yeah. All right, you guys are beating around the bush. I'm gonna put you guys on the spot. You guys all dancing around the question. I'm just gonna ask you guys here. So, if you're Matt Crocker, who is your dream pick for next coach?
Go for it.
I got one in mind. I don't know if they'll talk to him. I think it's Jogi Löw. I think it's the former German coach. I think he's the best option because I think what we need is tactics. We need someone to elevate the level of our players, and he's respected. He's out of a job. I don't know what he's doing. I'm sure he wants to coach again, and he was fantastic for a while with Germany. And I think he's the guy to do it. If it has to be American, Phil Jackson, call him up. Call Phil Jackson. He's the new U.S. soccer coach. If you force me to choose an American, that's who I choose. He's also out of a job. So those are my two candidates.
All right. That's funny you picked Löw. I would pick Löw just for the booger eating footage we would get during all the U.S. games, because that's the only thing that guy has done of note in the last 3-4 years for Germany. Germany's been an absolute disaster for a while now under his tutelage. So I think that's a bad pick. I think he was good maybe, when was it, 6 years ago now? That's the last time he was good for Germany. The guy I would go with, that I just thought of right now, is a guy that has experience. I'll make you guys guess. Experience in MLS. Playing in MLS, coaching MLS. He's a legend. He's a superstar as a player. He has coaching experience in Europe. He's done well enough in Europe, but he got fired from his role. That's the only caveat on his resume. Can you guess who it is? I'll give you 5 seconds.
And he coaches in Europe. He coached in Europe and he got fired.
In Europe. Come on, play it.
Thierry Henry.
Close. Patrick Vieira, my friend.
Okay.
That is my coach pick for the U.S. men's national team.
It's not a bad shot. That's a good option.
Yep. He's a good coach. He's similar to the Henry pick, because Henry, legend as a player, coached in MLS, coached in Europe. The difference between Henry and Vieira is that Vieira has done well in MLS as a coach, and he's done well as a coach in Europe. And he knows the domestic league. He knows the players. He knows European soccer. He would garner respect immediately. That is my pick. Mic drop. Dropping this mic.
That's a good choice. I'm kind of impressed, Troy. I thought you were going to go with the assistant coach of the LA Galaxy or someone like that. But
I thought he was going to go for the assistant coach of a USL team.
Yeah. Latin Donovan would have been my USL pick for sure. Yeah.
Well, look, we're getting close. I think we're getting closer to a pick. We have a couple events coming up later this month, everyone. We have the US Under-20 Men's World Cup, so you get to see the future talent of US soccer there. But let's see if it's Patrick Vieira. Let's see if it's Jogi Löw. I personally would love to get Jose Mourinho, who they're never going to get. But
that's fun. That's a fun one.
Some just fun out there pick. But
we need drama, man. I'm all for it.
We need to shake things up a little bit. Oh, we need more drama.
Yeah,
we should just get Claudio Reyna. Maybe Claudio Reyna should be the coach.
Not American soccer parent drama.
Yeah,
I mean some good soccer drama.
We could hire them both as a couple, and they could coach the team.
Oh yeah. So speaking of drama, obviously Champions League coming up, but no U.S. Players in that one. So just continue to watch every week. Let's see if our U.S. boys stay up in the Premier League with Leeds, and we'll continue to see who they net out with in terms of the coach. All right, everyone, have a great week, and we will see you next week.